And if you like, you can close your eyes. You can simply listen to my voice as I guide you into a deeper state of relaxation. If thoughts come into your mind, that's okay. Allow them to come and go. Pay attention to the slightly cooler air as it comes into your nose, and the slightly warmer air that leaves your nose. The rhythm of in and out.
So people asked me to do a little breach showcase. This specifically is a tier 15 map with 6 mods, triple tablet. Now I'm not super knowledgeable about all the endgame stuff, to be honest, how to scale certain mechanics and whatnot. I'm just an idiot playing the game, so I don't know if this is like the max juice or not, but this is what it looks like during mapping, and I'm really happy with the results so far. This one is a league mechanic with 9 runes, triple perfect chaos, pretty nice. These can get quite chaotic, I would say, but as you can see, it's just me running around placing my tornadoes. And the tornado here is stationary. I swapped out a support gem. I get into that a little bit later, but I think I like the stationary gem, the stationary tornadoes a little bit more than the moving ones. So that's what you see here, and all I really do is place my tornado, run around in a circle basically, and try to not get hit too much. Yeah, but the temp chain scaling is really comfortable. I don't get hit that often. To be honest, I don't even know how tanky this character is because I rarely get hit. I rarely drop any life. But so far it's not a problem because I level quite comfortably, so I guess I'm doing something right there. Okay, I will do a quick showcase of my character, how I've built it, some gem choices. I will also do a little bit of a crafting showcase for a wand and give you maybe some ideas how I achieved or made or bought some of these items or why I did it. Yeah, so let's get right into it. It's a pretty special gem or spell in that case, because it's a damage over time spell and it never hits. It has no critical strike scaling, or you can't go for damage as extra of an element or of chaos or whatever. So it has pretty harsh limitations of how to scale it. The skill itself is a physical damage over time skill, and whenever it moves over a ground surface, it absorbs that surface buff and gives you elemental damage. So if you are casting the tornado over a chilled ground, burning ground, shocked ground, it will absorb the ground effect and add the elemental damage to the skill. So it looks like this. It has the physical damage portion and then fire, cold, and lightning. Now, in my case, I'm using the Taming, and the Taming gives wind skills the ability to have all of the elemental ground surfaces already on the gem, so you don't actually have to go over one of these ground surfaces. And this is really what makes the build possible, in my opinion. It is possible to play Tornado and create ground surfaces, but it's so complicated and you have to do so many different weird things, like getting some companions that create shield ground or cast a curse and it will create burning ground, and it's just super annoying. And the taming fixes all of it, and you never have to think about it again. So all I do is I cast my tornado, and you can see it already has all of the elemental damages attached to it. The biggest way to scale it is additional gem levels, spell damage, elemental damage, and then you can scale debuffs on the enemy, like lowering their resistances, making them take increased damage through different sources like Intimidate, for example, stuff like that. But scaling the gem itself comes with heavy limitations. I think currently Mathil is also playing this build, and he does a shaman who scales rage. And rage scales with spell damage, gives increased and more spell damage. I think that's also very, very good, but I haven't tried it, so I don't know. So, the way I've built it is my main skill is Tornado, and when I do a map, all I do is cast these tornadoes. This gem right here, this lineage gem, is not great. The way you can cast Tornado is, now without the gem, I can place the tornado wherever I want, and then it's stationary. And if I equip this gem, it makes them move. But it makes them move from my character position. So if I cast it here, it always starts where I'm standing, and then it moves in the direction. And it's just honestly so much easier to just click in the direction I want instead of making it move there. It's just so much faster. And with a lot of area scaling, it's quite comfortable to map. So I just place my stuff on the ground, and you can also see the initial cast has quite large area scaling, and then it gets smaller. So the initial cast will pull enemies from the bigger area impact into the tornado, then it gets smaller, and even though I have quite a lot of increased area effect, the final area where the damage is dealt is not that large. But it doesn't really matter, because whenever I cast my tornado onto enemies, it will suck in the enemies in the large area. So it's not that bad. It actually makes this one even worse, because not only does it have less damage and less area effect on the gem, but because the initial cast is always on myself and then it moves, at the time the tornado moves, it's already small. So the coverage is just so much worse. I don't know who came up with the idea of this gem, but it's it's trash. It's really bad. Uh, it could be really good if it wouldn't have less area and less damage, and maybe even more travel speed, or it wouldn't start onto my character. Like, the whole thing should be reworked completely, because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense in my opinion. And the +1 limit is irrelevant. I would say it's irrelevant, because tornado, only one tornado can damage an enemy. Even if I stack 4 on top of them, only one of them deals damage to a single target, which is it's enough. It's enough damage. The damage is quite high, so that's totally fine. So that's how Tornado works, and I would say do not play with Morgana's Tempest, because it's straight up trash. Casting it yourself is always much smoother, I would say. It gives you more area, more damage, and then another limit on it is not needed. I'm currently at 4 limit, or 4 tornadoes, so kind of 4 tornadoes up at a time. That's really comfortable. I don't think I need 5 anyways. Less, I don't know. I wouldn't really like to play with less than 4, but it's also the main reason I went for Gemling, because Gemling's additional quality, I'm currently at 31% quality. It gives me 3 additional tornadoes, +3 to limit of tornadoes, so that makes it 4 tornadoes, and that's really nice. Also, the additional quality stacking on the character gives it a little bit more duration, which is quite nice, because the duration is fine, but it's not like it's going on forever. It's pretty good, but it's limited. Especially Wild Surge Incantation gives Storm and Plant skills more damage, great, but it also gives them less duration. And Tornado is a Storm skill, so it gets more damage, but it also gets less duration. But the duration scaling feels quite nice on this. Never had an issue with it. The cast speed is good, so duration is definitely not an issue on this character at all. Another very positive aspect of the Wild Surge Incantation is the less cost. So the skill itself, even though it's a level 40 spell skill, it only costs me 100 mana and 200 life. I'll get into the life cost in a minute. Yeah, but that's the basics about Tornado. So let's see what else is on the character. The main damage scaling for me is gem levels, spell damage, elemental damage, and then I scale curse effect or curse magnitude, and exposure. And I do that for a manually cast elemental weakness with Cursed Ground. So I run around, and whenever there's a rare or a boss, I just cast my curse on the ground and everything gets cursed. And then I also can do a Frost Bomb. It's also quite nice to be a Gemling for this because it also increases the limit, so I can just use a Cascade on the Frost Bomb, so I have more coverage and more or faster exposure. How do you say? I apply exposure faster because every pulse of the bomb increases the exposure, so having more increases the speed of how fast the exposure goes up on an enemy. So exposure and curse magnitude. Now, the Frost Bomb for exposure gets scaled in my offhand here with a wand that gives me +5 to all cold skills. I got one with a little bit of cast speed just to make it feel a little bit better. And then I used a prismatic alloy on the wand. It's a suffix, so it's basically a 1 in 3 to not remove the other 2 stats. And it gives exposure effect on a wand and on a focus. I did the same on the focus here, just +2 all spell skills and exposure effect. So this comes out at a total of, now if I use Frost Bomb in my main hand, I have 45% increased exposure effect. And if I do it in my offhand, I have 154. So that's a lot. You can see earlier in the video how much the resistances on enemies are lowered, and curse plus exposure is on white mobs I think 200 or more negative resistances, and on bosses it's about 150 negative resistances. So that's the exposure part, and the curse magnitude, obviously heightened curse, but also there are new crafting currencies that give special modifiers on certain gear pieces. On gloves, there is the decay modifiers, and the decay modifiers can roll curse magnitude. It's possible to get curse magnitude plus exposure effect on the gloves. I wasted a lot of currency for this to get exposure, curse magnitude, and then like good life and resist. I did not manage to do it. It cost me way too much, and this pair of gloves, even though it doesn't look like much, is the best I could come up with. So the market as well does not offer any of these items. Nobody's playing a curse and exposure stacker, I assume. I think there's like 4 pair of gloves on the trade side that give curse magnitude plus exposure, and they have dog shit stats otherwise. So yeah, I had to do it myself, and it's not that easy to hit all the mods that you want. Whatever. The gloves have curse magnitude. Then there's an idol that gives another 8% curse magnitude. On the focus main hand, I also have a +2 with spell damage and then curse magnitude. That's quite nice. And I recently crafted this ring, which gives cast speed, which is nice, spell area effect, which is also nice, and then curse magnitude. And this is all on a breach ring. And then I hit it with a breach essence that increases maximum quality by another 20, so this can have 60 quality, and cast speed, area effect, and curse magnitudes. These are all spell modifiers, so you can see here it's 12 curse magnitude, 13 area, and 20 cast speed, and all of these modifiers then get increased by 60%, so it's 19 curse magnitude, 32 cast speed, and 20% area of effect. I really like this ring, but the quality for caster modifiers is expensive as hell. I think a single catalyst costs like 30 exalts, so that's 30 times 60. I think that was 10 divine just in catalysts. Definitely not needed, but yeah. Before I used this, I used actually a Ventor's Gamble because I need a little bit of spirit on my gear. And after I got this ring, I crafted a new pair of boots with some spirit on the boots so that I could drop the Ventor and use these two. And then with the reservation efficiency, I have just enough spirit to fit in my blasphemy and elemental conflux. These are the only 2 auras that I run. Elemental conflux, another nice damage buff, it is basically, it grants a buff to one element at a time. And because I always have all 3 elements of damage up, where is it? Here. So it rotates between fire, cold, and lightning. And right now it has the cold damage buff, and that's why I have fire and lightning equally high, and cold damage a little higher than that, because right now the cold damage conflux or whatever is up. So this rotates. Sometimes fire is the highest, sometimes lightning is the highest, sometimes cold is the highest, but it does not matter at all which one it is, because all the exposure, all the negative resistances is all res and not specific res, so it doesn't matter which one is which is quite nice because this one gives 76% more damage for the element. So obviously it's not a 76% more damage multiplier, but it's, let's just say 76 divided by 3, because one of those 3 always gets increased. The physical damage is, I would say, negligible. It's not scaled through the elemental weakness or the exposure, so here now jumped back to fire, because so the physical damage does not matter. Another thing I added into this, and it's a 2-button press combo, which I only do when I do bosses. I use Powered Verisium, which gives me Verisium infusions, and these can be used to infuse any skill. So I press this, and then my ball lightning gets infused, and the fire infusion creates ignited ground, or yeah, ignited ground. And when I cast this before a boss fight, the boss then gets ignited, and Arbiter's Ignition makes it so that whenever I ignite an enemy, I gain Elemental Archon, and that gives me 25% more elemental damage with spells, which is really good. It also makes it so that I don't deal non-elemental damage, which means that whenever I press this, I get 25% more damage for these 3, but I completely lose the physical damage. So it's not 25% more damage, it's less, but the physical damage doesn't really matter. So if I don't deal any fizz, but more elemental, it's still a substantial damage buff. And for a quick combo like this, and this, it's a 2-button combo. I just press it in whenever the boss is spawning and still not attacking, so I have to do something with the time anyway, so just press these 2 buttons and the boss spawns, ignites, and I gain Elemental Archon. So that's just a quick combo before the boss spawns to increase the damage a little bit. But during mapping, it's absolutely not needed. It also, the ball lightning is also linked with Fiery Death. So for example, if there's a ritual or any other mechanic where I have a moment to just quickly cast this, especially in ritual because it's a limited area where monsters can spawn, I just press this, and then when things get ignited, they have a chance to explode on death. So basically do this, and then I attack, and then everything that is ignited also explodes. Yeah, that's just something to further buff the damage. And that's it. Thunderstorm and Volcano are completely irrelevant. They have nothing to do with the build. All they do is give my Ascendancy for gem studded. I have to balance support gems. So I had in all my main gems, the most supports were blue supports, which was 16, and then I needed to balance the red and the green supports accordingly. So I needed 16 strength, 16 dex, and 16 int gems to balance this to get all 3 buffs, which is why I had to do some very weird things, like I have some armor demolisher everywhere in my gear, even on elemental conflux, just to get to 16 strength and 16 dex gems. So these are completely random and irrelevant supports and skills. They do absolutely nothing for me except for balancing this. The only reason I took Thunderstorm and Volcano is because it's a strength and int gem. And that is because of Virtuous Barrier, which gives, it's called modes for strength and int and dexterity gems. And I get 2% increased max life per strength mode. So if this was pure int, if this was a pure intelligence gem, I would only get intelligence gives life and mana regen, and I already have, as you can see, most of my modes are intelligence modes. So to get a few more strength modes, I took strength and intelligence gems here. Yeah, that's the only reason it's Thunderstorm and Volcano. It could be anything else. Could be pure strength, could be pure dexterity, could be pure int, whatever you like. So that's just to fill out the gem-studded balance. Just to go over the gear real quick, as I already said, the Taming, absolutely mandatory item. Do not play this without the Taming. It will be complete and utter trash. Totally unplayable without it. Must have, no exception. And everything after that is really up to you and your imagination. I already said I'm scaling gem levels, spell and elemental damage, and then curse magnitude and exposure effect. I crafted this wand myself. I will go over how to craft it in a second, but it's actually really easy. Now this is a sanctified one where I hit the +1 physical spells, so usually it's a +5 physical spells, but this one is a +6. Because I sanctified it, I did some trial and error crafting with different wands to hit the +6, but +5 is totally fine, and the +5 wands are very easy and very cheap to craft, so definitely not needed to have a +6 here, but this is the wand. The amulet, I went for +3 spells, also mandatory, I would say, to get as much gem levels everywhere, so +3, definitely nice. I then crafted maximum quality onto it with a caster modifier catalysts to bring the +3 to a +4, and then have some stats. This one, I really like it. It's not super expensive to buy +3 spell skill amulets and try to craft them yourself, even buy them yourself. It's not that expensive, because especially like life casters are not very common, so +3 with like life and some res, it's not super expensive. It would be much more expensive if it was just pure CI, energy shield, mana, stacking, whatever. So that's the amulet. I already showed the ring earlier. It's a caster breach ring with curse magnitude, area effect, cast speed, and some stats. Focus plus level of skills, curse magnitude, some stats. I tried to get at least a little bit of energy shield on my gear, like boots, shield, helmet. Mostly hybrid stuff, like this is energy shield, life, recharge rate, and this one also was crafted with an alloy that gives more area effect for spells. Here I crafted ward. I think these had around 190 energy shield, so I lose 200 ES by going ward, but I needed it to cast my Powered by Verisium. So I said, whatever. The belt, not that amazing, but the reason I chose this one is tied to the body armor. Now, this is a new unique, I think, from this league. I'm not exactly sure. Haven't seen it before. I really like it. It makes it so that the life flask is constantly active and constantly regenerates life. So I have base life recovery of like 530, let's say, due to this body armor. I can't press the life flask. It's constantly up. And it's just pretty decent recovery, but it's not needed to build the character like this. You can probably just go for a big hybrid or pure energy shield body armor, and I don't even know, maybe it's even better than this, but I just wanted to play with this. It also comes with a skill, Rite of Restoration. It's basically a sigil, and it's this one. I can place it on the ground, and the more spells I cast, the more charged up the sigil gets. And what it does is, right now my life regen is 530 and my mana regen is 100, and then I press this. I already get a little bit more life recovery and mana recovery, and then I cast spells while inside, and then my regeneration, actually not mana, just energy shield and life, the recovery goes up. So I started at 530, cast, I get an initial 60 life regen on top. and then it caps out at 250, so it's another 250 life regen. But what it also does is it increases the energy shield and armor. So right now I have 2.3, 2.4k energy shield. I cast this, I cast spells, and the energy shield goes up to 4k. I socketed a Fox Island to this just for 5 additional quality. I am not making use of the bonded modifiers from Idols here at all. So not optimal, but I do like the 5 additional quality because it's a breakpoint for the, where is it, for the Tornado. Right now I'm at 11 quality plus 3 Tornadoes, and without this I would be at 2 additional, so it gives me a little bit of an edge to go to plus 3 limit of Tornadoes. And that is about it. Now the belt, oh yeah, the belt. It has increased life recovery from Flask, that's why I chose this base. So it increases the life recovery from this Flask that is constantly up. It's also caster belt from Breach that gives spell damage during Flask effect. That's just another nice bonus with some life and some defensive stats. I think there's also cast speed, Archon duration, and some other stuff that could be nice on a belt. So yeah, it's a nice little buff to have permanently, let's say 50% increased spell damage, because both of my flasks are constantly up. I can run a Lovey Younger Spirit Flask because my mana cost is really low. So it only costs me 100 mana, and it also costs 200 life, but because I have such high life regen, whenever I cast, I don't go below max life. It always goes up before I cast the next time. That's also the conversion comes from the tree, where I took some spell damage and spell conversion nodes that convert mana cost to life cost, and also give pretty good amount of spell damage and some additional life regeneration rate. So that's pretty cool. Makes mana management much more sustainable, and I personally really don't like to play a caster where mana is an issue. So I'm very happy with the way this one plays out with Wild Surge Incantation, some conversion of the cost to life, high life regen, and then just some mana regen from Gemling's Virtuous Barrier, and that way I don't have to worry about mana cost at all. I did pick up some mana regen nodes up here. These are quite efficient, give some reduced move speed penalty as well. So I never drop very low with my mana. That's just, yeah, really, really comfortable to play. And yeah, that's about it. The build in general is very comfortable to play, very easy to navigate, super chill. That's what all the memes from the beginning were for. So I really, really like this character, the skill, and overall just the way the character's built and scaled. It's quite different to what other casters usually do, just go crit, and this one is a little bit more creative. I really, really liked putting it together, so maybe you enjoy this one as well, get some inspiration, and now I will show you how to craft one of these wands. Crafting one of these wands is actually really easy, and also, depending on your luck, not expensive at all. Right now, you start off with a base like this, +5 all physical spells, and I usually choose just a big mana prefix, because there's not that many mods that are needed on this build. I think the best mod as a prefix is hybrid spell damage with mana, but this one works fine. Having some mana is quite nice because the mana pool overall is not large. So starting out with this one, this right now costs 50 Exalted Orbs for the magic base. That's really cheap in my opinion. And the way to go from this to this is quite deterministic. So let me just walk you through. What we need here is an essence and some abyss currency and then some ritual currency. So the first step, you get the magic wand +5 and the mana prefix, and then take a greater essence of sorcery and just slam this on there. This gives spell damage, and that's really important for the next step. So this one is done. Next step, you click the Omen of the Leech. This one guarantees a Amanamu modifier, and there's only a single outcome possible that is relevant for us, and that is elemental damage. You can see it here on my prefix, the desecrated mod, elemental damage. This one, clicking this one and then prefix, guarantees to hit elemental damage. So you cannot fail the step if you just click these two uh, abyss currencies. Now let me go to the Well of Souls real quick. Okay, so the reason elemental damage is guaranteed is because the Amanamu modifiers on a wand, there are 3 different ones. 2 of them give spell damage and I think minion damage and something else. And the third one gives elemental damage. Because there's already spell damage on the wand, the other 2 modifiers cannot spawn, so there's only one option guaranteed for the Amanamu modifier, and that is elemental damage. So I click Omen of the Leech, Omen of Sinistral Necromancy to guarantee a prefix, and then take the Jawbone and click that. Now there's a prefix, and it will have 2 random modifiers and 1 guaranteed Amanamu, and it will be elemental damage, 100%. No need for echoes or anything. It will be there, and there it is, elemental damage. Now, as I said earlier, damage as extra does absolutely nothing, so it's completely useless to take. This is the only modifier that is of any relevance. Okay, so that's the wand. Now, this next step is the RNG step. A greater Omen of Greater Exaltation and a Greater Exalted Orb will now add 2 suffix modifiers. And there are not that many suffixes that are really beneficial to this build. The best modifier is definitely cast speed. And I would not play it without the cast speed. But this is probably a little bit of a trial and error stage of the craft, where you just take the Omen of Greater Exaltation, Greater Exalted Orb, and then Slam. And this one actually got the cast speed. So first try, easy. Now the life gain on kill, pretty bad, but whatever. Mine currently has attribute requirements, also pretty bad. But there's not much that is really beneficial. I think the best modifier would be Intelligence or mana regeneration rate. These are the best 2 modifiers to get otherwise, but I wouldn't sweat about it too much. Life on kill, it's okay. There's nothing else that really matters, so that's fine. So this is already done, and this cost me like, I don't know, these are like 5 and 5, that's maybe 10, let's say 15 exalts. These are like 1/10 of an exalt or something, absolutely worth nothing. So that's still 15 exalts, and then this one costs, I think, 3 exalts or something. That's a 20 exalt investment. These also cost absolutely nothing. So the base is 50 exalts, and then that's 20 exalts. So each try to hit cast speed is about 70 exalts, and for a weapon like this, it's really cheap. Now the next step, if you want to invest a little bit more, would be to go and buy an Omen of Sanctification. These are not expensive, but obviously to make it work, you need a Divine Orb. So the next step then could be to sanctify the item. I truly do not care about Spellslinger, so I don't even care to quality this one up. The rolls are fine, it's okay, whatever. All I really care about is the physical spells to go from 5 to 6. So I could sanctify, use the divine, always make sure to put a socket in there, obviously. Check again, and then do this, and it actually went up. Holy crap. Yeah, I'm not a streamer, but I guess a recording client or something. That is crazy. I think this one took me about 10 tries, maybe 8, I'm not exactly sure anymore, but hitting this immediately is kind of crazy. Sadly, the other mods went down, the spell damage went down a little bit, and I think the LE damage went down a little bit as well, but it doesn't really matter, cast speed stayed the same. The +6 is what matters, it gives so much more damage, so yeah, that's the wand craft for you.